Take this opportunity to welcome you all to the season 2 of HMC Clinical Webinar Diaries hosted by Student Council. Today, we are privileged to have with us Dr. Manohara Mysore. Sir will be speaking about investigations, importance explained through cases. A warm welcome to you, sir. And also, I welcome our beloved principal, Dr. Praveen Raj, sir, Vice Principal, Dr. Roshan Pindo, sir, AAO, Dr. Prajna Alva, ma'am. Dr. Manohara Mysore, BHMS, sir, has YouTube channel Advanced Learners Group Mysore, has given seminar in Madurai on role of investigation in homeopathy, has credited of making his assistants as independent practitioner in Karnataka, managing trustee of an activity-based school Arrival since 12 years. This school runs with a philosophy of learning with pleasure, learning through nature and activity-based learning, has initiated the process of starting a homeopathic website, homeoguide.org. Active in dramatic script writing and acting, his story has won award in short film section in Karnataka state. Over to you, sir.
Okay. I'm audible, no?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody, and we'll straight away start with the session. Yeah. First, we'll pay our tributes to our master, Dr. Hanuman. Because of him, we are all practicing this beautiful science. And one more person I want to remember on this occasion is Dr. Praful Vijayakar, because of whom I can practice confidently, and so whatever success I have in my practice, it's because of Dr. Praful Vijayakar. So, what are the commonest questions as homeopaths we face from our patients, and especially that too related to lab investigations? So, what they ask is, do you have lab investigations in homeopathy? Does it really help you to assess the progress? Is it the same as mainstream medicine or different? Because they often confuse homeopathy with Ayurveda. So, can you? It may look silly, but in my initial days of practice, I was been through these questions. Can you check BP and sugar in your clinic? Can you read ECG reports, and in many more? And most of the beginners have seen in my practice, and even in my initial days of practice, I was facing some difficulty. And many practitioners still find it difficult to evaluate the case based on investigations. So that's why I have chosen this topic, because after going through a lot of failures in my practice because of lack of knowledge on investigations, I started learning about investigations and how it is related in our practice. So today I'm just going to share my experience of investigations in my practice. So, role of investigations in arriving at the thymelium explained through cases. So actually, it's a 5.5 hour lecture which I have given in Madurai and Bangalore. But I have minimized it, and only the concept I am explaining you. So in many cases, you may not see the detailed explanation, but I have all the videos of these patients, and whenever, if time permits, when we meet physically, I can show you all the videos. So today we'll stick to only the reports. Okay, we will not be showing any video, because in last seminars I have faced a lot of problem because of streaming problem, because of bandwidth problem, etc. So this time I have skipped the videos. So let us see what are our objectives of today's lecture. See how investigations help us in selection of thymelium. At the end of this lecture, you should know that how investigations help us in the selection of the thymelium. And how investigations help us in the follow-up, that is repetition of the medicine, or rubric selection, potency selection, and miasm, and change of medicine, etc. There are a lot of things. And as I already told you, how investigations help us to know the prognosis of a case. And of course, it includes scope and limitation. In a nutshell, today we'll be going through the role of investigation in determining the miasm of the patient, remedy, potency selection, repetition, and change of the medicine. Okay, so directly we start with the case of PCOD. So in our clinics, we get a lot of PCODs, and it's a big headache to most of our practitioners. So nowadays, it has increased a lot because of lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, etc. And she's a female aged 30 years with amenorrhea since 2 months. History of PCOD was there in the past. Treating her since she was 26, and she conceived. Her first pregnancy occurred after she took homeopathic medicines. So first 4 years she didn't had any issues. So because of that, she approached me, and after taking my medicine, she conceived. So, but now again, since 3 months, she has amenorrhea. She has 3-year-old child, but again, since 3 months, she has amenorrhea. I tried various medicines, but without any result. You can type your reactions in the chat box. We will go through this, and if time permits, I will try to answer. So I asked her to go for urine pregnancy test. It came negative. So what to do? So it's earlier report, PCOD, for which she has been given medicine. So after some days, I sent her for ultrasound scan. So USG pelvis. So what do we expect? So what do we expect? So please let me know what you feel. What you feel feel will be there in the scan report. What are your predictions? So let it be interactive session, because Manish has given me that I can go on for 2 hours, no problem. So PCOD, okay. PC. Okay, we'll see what could be the possibilities. The size of the cyst is more. Yeah, cyst could be more. Cyst. Chat box is there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, pregnancy, PCOD, yes, ovarian cyst, hormonal imbalance, yes, hormonal imbalance is difficult to know from the ultrasound, but anyhow, yeah, it could be ovarian cyst, very good. Yeah, hormonal imbalance, yeah. NAD also is one of the possibilities, no abnormality detected. And of course, what you expect is 30% commission. When you refer a patient to a laboratory investigations, usually depending on your area, you'll get a lot of commission. I don't know how ethical it is. I don't practice like this because it's against our conscience. Because once the patients know about this, the respect in their eyes will come down. So my advice is don't do this, okay, for the future homeopaths. Yeah, prolapse uterus is one of the thing. Yes, but prolapse uterus, amenorrhea is, yeah, it could be. Okay. So let's see what is there in the, some of the, you are right. Surprisingly, it was a single live gestation of 14 weeks. Okay, though urine pregnancy test came negative, the patient had a live gestation of 14 weeks. Okay, see the report. A single live intrauterine gestation of 14 weeks and 6 days. Okay, so what are the lessons? What is the lesson that I learned from this case is, don't take anything for granted. Luckily, I suggested her for ultrasound. Otherwise, I would have missed this thing. I referred her to see whether the cyst increased or any new cyst or the size of the cyst has increased. Just to know that I refer, but surprisingly for me, the result came as pregnancy. So in the same way, I remember in my initial days of practice, a lady aged 42 years was complaining of irregular menses and amenorrhea since 5 months. So I told it could be due to menopausal we'll wait. And after 6 months, she was obese also. And after 6 months, when the scan was done, it showed pregnancy of 20 weeks. Imagine my condition, how I would have felt during that. But they were also, okay, sir, we'll continue because it's already 20 weeks, we'll continue the pregnancy. But the problem with the late pregnancies are, the boy was born with, because she was not willing, the mother was not willing, he was born with handicap in the leg. So you should be very careful about when you consider, be sure and don't hesitate to send them for scan. If you find it any doubt, if you have, you please send it to the scan. Okay. So knowledge of lab investigation is very important. We'll see a case of diabetes. So she's a female aged 50 years. Diabetes was detected 1 month back. She has been coming to me for the pain in the tooth. Please remember, whenever the patient comes to you with pain in the tooth or pain in the shoulder, or if they have any ulcers in the genitals, both female and male, and please think about diabetes. Okay, because if you miss and some other doctor diagnose the state of diabetes, it's a big shame on us. Okay, so whenever the patient has any ulcers or toothache or gingivitis, these are common symptoms of diabetes. Okay, so the ppbs was 447, urine sugar was more, and the HbA1c was 13.3. so it shows it was of long lasting diabetes. The patient has diabetes since more than 3 months of time. Okay, so HbA1c says it gives an average value of 90 days of blood sugar. Okay, so lipid profile was within normal, thyroid profile was normal. So urine pulses were more, little infection was there, and weight loss, constant weight loss since last 2-3 months. And sometimes the patients will mislead you. When I asked her that you are losing weight, she said, sir, I'm doing yoga and I'm doing a lot of dieting. So that's why I'm doing, I may be losing weight. So don't be misguided by the patient words. Okay. So, and she became irritable, vaginal thing with redness at urethra. So cramps in the calf muscles. And she was a known case of hypertension, but not on any medication. There's no family history. Mother has diabetes. Okay. So she has attained menopause 8 years back. You can see the obstetric history. First 4 miscarriages and 2 daughters. Personality history, appetite is good. She desires fried food and warm food. It is not mentioned here. She prefers food to be warm. So there's an aversion to milk. Thirst increased. sweating on face, urine, okay, pulse regular. She sleep, but there is a disturbance in the sleep, late night. Thermals were hot. You can see the reports. Okay. So what are the rubrics which I consider? So her husband is a very well-known industrialist. He has put some guarantee on the to one of his friend, but his friend cheated and he has to repay the loan. And the loan was about uh, almost 2 crores, 2 to 3 crores, and because of him, they have to repay the loan, and because of this, he was facing a lot of tensions, and he has borrowed money from the relatives. And she was feeling very bad whenever the relatives started asking for money over the phone, or when they come personally to the house, and when they demand their money coming to the house. She was feeling very bad and sad. So after this, all these complaints started. So you can anybody come up with the rubrics? Yeah, deceived. Okay. Yeah, very good. Deceived. More than deception, I think it's a more of shamefulness, shame, rubrics related to shame, because yeah, embarrassment, embarrassing, very good. Yeah, mortification, yes, very good. Guilty, elements from embarrassment, very good. Very, yeah, disappointment, yes, to some extent we can consider this. Yeah, indignation, yes. Yeah, indignation. Yeah, urine sugar was 3 plus. Urine sugar was 3 plus. So let's see what are the rubrics. Yeah, chagrin I took. So I consider embarrassment in general and ailments from shock. It's a 201 dose. Okay. So, but after even after 15 days, there was no change. And I checked her glucose in my glucometer. So my advice is please keep one glucometer with you, because it may show 10% error, but many of the times it saves a lot of your time, and you can be sure about your medicines. So ASF, yes, very good. Yeah, somebody has Dr. Shivam has written ASF, yes. Okay, so what are the things? So since there was no change, sugar was high after seeing the in the glucometer. Yeah, somebody wanted previous slide. Yeah, embarrassment in general. Yeah, shock. Yeah. So I reanalyzed the case. I took the case again. She was having anxiety of health, severe anxiety of health. She was sleeplessness, desires, hard food and drinks, weight loss was there, and she was in need of repeated reassurance. So please consider the medicines which are anxious, and which needs repeated reassurance. Okay, the medicine which I came up with, yes, pulse, yes, Ciflandra indica, yes, many times they give it in mother tincture. Phosphoric acid, yes, very good guess, but she was hot. Okay, yeah, ourself, yes, very good. So most of you have got the medicine right. It's ASF. It's a hot Arsalv. So hot Arsalv is ASF. She was typical arsenic patient, very anxious, wanted reassurance. I gave her ASF 1N, and after within 10 days, the results were like this. Immediately it came to normal. See, after repeated testing, once in a month, 27 to this is 28. 3. Okay, so HbA1c came to 6.83. Now she doesn't have any complaint. All her complaints became all right. Weakness. She also gained weight, 66 kg, 2 kgs she gained, and sleep was good. No ulceration on the genitals. Okay, so finally, after 2 months, I checked her HbA1c. It came 6.83. Okay, see, in this case, the important thing which I want to highlight is all the prescription is made changed only on no allopathic medicines. Somebody has typed in the thought, no allopathic medicine. So only they had a very good faith in me because I have been treating their family since last 15 years. They stick to me, and see, in this case all the prescription is made and changed only on the blood values. That's on the biochemistry. Okay, because she hardly had symptoms, only few symptoms she had. Based on that, you cannot base. But based on the blood sugar value, I changed the medicine. So as you see in aphorism number 2, Hahnemann says the highest ideal of cure is rapid, gentle, and it's a permanent restoration. See, this is the recent one. I think we have missed the recent one. Last January also they have checked. It was less only. It was around 5.2. So that report is missing. Okay. So it was very fast. Within only one name potency was used. So indications of ISF, I have already told you, it's a chilly, a hot arsal. The patient will be very restless and they will be very anxious, and there is a lot of anxiety about health, and but they feel better after your consolation or reassurance. Okay, so if your medicine is right, I have seen in many cases within very short time, say even in diabetes, within 15 days it will come to normal. Okay, so let's go to next case. I think I'm clear. Okay, so let's go to a case of head injury. So she's a girl, age 25 years, severe pain in the head since 2 days. Pain started after injury and it got ameliorated with painkiller. On MRI head, because they didn't want to take chance, it was revealed minimal subarachnoid hemorrhage. Okay, just minimal subarachnoid hemorrhage. So what to do next? Can we treat this patient? Can we take up this case? See the report. Okay, minimal subarachnoid hemorrhage. Yeah, very good. Arnica, hematolysis, gels, yes. Yeah. Okay, any more injury remedies, or you want this to be treated with constitution? Sir, arnica, yes, arnica. There is another medicine from letter N, which is specific for head injury. Yes, natron salt, very good. Yeah, very good. Yes. Hypericum. Potency, natron salt potency, can anybody suggest? You're almost right. 30, 200, 1M. Cicuta. Yes. Natron salt 1M. Okay. Okay. Natron salt 1M. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what happened and what was the medicine which I prescribed. So after prescribing or after my medicine, the CT was normal within a week. Okay. So, and it shows hemorrhage has been resolved. Okay. So yeah, in terms of 30, what could be the medicine? I gave Saclac. Okay. So see the surgeon FMA Dr. Bhaskar MS. He was my friend. So I had a chat with Dr. Bhaskar, and according to him, these hemorrhages will, minimal subarachnoid hemorrhages will resolve on its own in a week. Okay. So in aphorism number 3, Dr. Hahnemann says, if you have the knowledge of the disease, the prognosis of the disease, how it evolves, how the disease progresses. So if you have the clear knowledge, then you'll know what to do. So in this case, when the neurosurgeons told confidently that you need not uh, give any medicine, it will resolve on its own, because he is a surgeon of 40 years of his practice. He was the first neurosurgeon of Mysore. So I had a belief in him. So I had a belief in his words. So I stuck to his words. And after, 5 days, the report came normal. So we should be careful also, because if you are given Netramcel, Fornica, and if we claim that our medicine is cured, they would be laughing in front of us. Homeopath doesn't know the knowledge of the disease, how the prognosis helps, and they are taking advantage of the patient ignorance. They are taking the credit. No, it should not happen. You should be very open-minded to learn from your colleagues, especially the senior allopathic doctors, and they will also be very open to teach you or share.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Please bear with us while we connect to sir.
Hello, sir. Sir, I'm audible.
Sorry, there was a technical error. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir. You can continue, sir.
Okay. Sorry. Could you hear the previous slide?
Actually, no, I think, sir. The audio got stuck, sir.
Okay. This I was explaining, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you know what has to be cured in the diseases, and if you know the prognosis of the disease, then it will be easy for you to treat the case with confidence. Otherwise, you will be in a very dark room. You will not know what to do when the case struggles and whether to take up the cases or not. If you have a good relationship with allopathic colleagues, then they definitely guide you, and definitely it will be helpful for you to treat cases. And in the end, the patient will also feel confident. Okay, I have told you the prescription, no? It was audible, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you clearly know if you have the knowledge of the disease, it is easy to treat. And most of the times, in many times, you need not give any medicine. Okay, if you are confident. And if you claim that you have cured minimal subarachnoid hemorrhage with homeopathic Netrum Sulph, arnica, or Cicuta, anything, so allopathic colleagues may laugh at you. See, he doesn't know the disease prognosis, and even if the patient has not taken any medicine, also it would have been cured. So don't make big claims. So please check with your allopathic colleagues. Okay, thank you. So we'll go to next case. So what I will be explaining you the different concepts regarding investigations. What happens when investigations and diagnosis doesn't match? Your clinical diagnosis will be different, and the investigations report will be different. So what to do then? See, she is a female, aged 29 years, married, and she was complaining of swelling in the left breast since 3 days, and this pain started suddenly and aggravated by touch. And she had come with the reports. She was from a faraway village, and she had come with the reports. And there is a report that there is a suspected lesion, likely neoplastics, and it suggested FNSC correlation. See, Doppler or scan of the breast revealed mass lesion left breast, and on Bird's category 4B, possibility is not excluded. So what is Bird's assessment categories? That 4B, it was suspicious abnormality was diagnosed, and on cytology it came abscess formation in one report, and in another report there was a chances of, it came out there is a chances of neoplasm. Okay, so patient was highly anxious, so do we. So whether to take up this case, because in younger patients, the speed of the breast cancer, the metastasis will be very high. So can we take up this case? We were just wondering. But according to the assistant doctor who checked, she was telling us this is simple abscess. And we discussed and came to the conclusion that if it is a neoplastic one, it would have not come in just 3 days. It would have been gradual, at least say 15 days, 20 days, at least 1 month. So neoplasm will not come in 3 days. Okay, so we we told her that it's not neoplastic, but she was very anxious, and because of a lot of pressure from the relatives, and she underwent incision and drainage, so which revealed it as an abscess. So my suggestion is, so please and always take history properly. Otherwise, these reports may mislead you. See the report after END. It came out as chronic mastitis. So she came with lot of sweets thanking us that, sir, your diagnosis was right and you were right in saying, and you were anxious, and it came out chronic mastitis. See, the confidence of the patient on you will increase by such incidences. Okay. See, though there was no growth, it was sterile. See the tissues which have been operated. So it's the investigation. See that now, for example, number 98, Hahnemann says it's the investigation of the true complete picture and its peculiarity demand, especially the circumcision that circumspection that see you can read the so if you know this aphorism well, is where the Hahnemann gives emphasis on investigations. Okay. Let's see another case. The case of irregular menses, a common complaint which you get in your clinics. It's a girl of age 19 years. Nowadays, we are getting more cases of irregular menses and irregular menses since menarche. So indicated medicine has been given, but still no menses. Before changing the medicine, got her ultrasound done, and it shows PCOD, thickened endometrium, and the polycystic endometrial pattern of right ovary. Okay. So my question is, by looking at the report, can you tell will she get cycles without your medicine, or you need to give her medicine? Please go through the scan report. Can you able to tell whether she will get her menses? Can you type in the chat box? Chat box. Yes. Yes, thick endometrium. Any other? Yes. Diet and exercise. Yes, very good. Any other thoughts? Any other inputs? Yes, we can see the endometrial thickness. Okay, we'll go further because the endometrial thickness, as you see, is 15 mm. So it's likely there's a high chances for there that she is likely to have menses in a very short period of time. So I told her that your scan shows that there's chances of getting your periods. So please go home and let me know after 1 week. And as many of you are right, endometrial thickness. She got her menses in 2 days, and our prediction was right. Okay. So, but the turn comes again. After scan, again I repeated the scan after 3 months because the menses was still irregular. PCOD was persisting. There was a enlarged bilateral ovaries with polycystic appearance. So, got a scan, and in this scan, you can see there is a right adnexial mass, and the mass, and the report says hypertrophied right ovary, right tubo-ovarian mass. So this PCOD has been turned up into large ovarian mass. So is it a good sign or bad sign? Do we need to change the medicine? Yeah, I need your inputs now. Any inputs? Yeah, bad. Yeah, bad sign. Very good. Because now, but PCOD is a small cyst will be converted. Now the PCOD was not there. See the report. Only the right adnexal masses was there. Earlier there was a cyst on both the sides. Now it is only on the one side. Uh, yeah, yeah. Somebody has written it will turn malignant. Yes, but yeah, but it's not suggested in the scan that it's not malignant. But of course, we will not know from the scan. But anyhow, we'll keep this option open. Okay. But this PCOD again, it has turned into sin. According to Vijaykar's chart of suppression, see, this comes under endocrine, and it has from psychosis, it has become single large, bigger psychosis. It's a bad sign. Okay, many of you were right. It's a bad sign. So let's see. If I retook the case, I consider the rubrics. I will not go into the details. I consider two rubrics: vanity and delusions, imagination that she has some organic, and nobody understands. She was having a lot of anxiety about diseases. So Lilium teak was the medicine which came up very strong. So Lilium teak 201 dose was given. See, after Lilium teak, again she went for the scan. It came out bilateral polycystic ovaries. After that, again, yesterday I had called her and I told her to go for scan. She was afraid of going to for a scan. She said, "No, sir, my periods are regular now. I'm fully all right. I've gone through the scan almost 4 or 5 times, so I don't want to go for scan." So see, because of scan only we could make out. Otherwise, it was very difficult. We'll consider the case as PCOD and still be treating, and will not change the medicine. So scan gives us an idea about the prognosis of the disease. Okay, and she was very thin. That was also one of the point to consider. Okay, so Lilium T 201 dose was given, and she was fully all right. So let's go to next case. It was a male, age 35 years. The case of an my colleague uh, is also a homeopath. He complained of pain in the left shoulder. The and case was taken and medicine was prescribed, and an X-ray done. So what can you expect in the X-ray? 30 years old. Yeah, you can type your views in the chat box. Yeah, debris. Yeah. What do you expect? Yeah, any spondylitis. Yeah, usually in shoulder, we hardly, yeah, frozen shoulder, yes, very good. Painful arc syndrome, yes, cervical spondylosis. Yes, this is what we thought it could be. But to our surprise, we referred him to orthopedic doctor. Doctor said no X-ray is needed, and it's a frozen shoulder, and you go for physiotherapy. And after 2 days of physiotherapy, the pain became so worse, and so much of pain was increased that he literally started playing with pain. So we changed the doctor. We took another opinion from another orthopedic surgeon. So he said, no, we'll go for X-ray. So in the X-ray, it came out that subcoracoid dislocation of left shoulder joint. It is a dislocation. Can we take up this case? X-ray showed dislocation. Can we treat with homeopathy? No, very good. Okay. we'll refer. Any other views? No, mechanical. Yeah, mechanically it has to be fixed. Yeah, very good. Yeah, Dr. Sujini, yes, mechanically has to better refer. Yeah, why to take headache? Why to take risk? It has to be fixed. Yes. So, yeah, very good answer. Mechanical with homeopathic medicinal aid is needed. Okay. Yes, possible. So he could, but he could able to lift his arm. So the orthopedic surgeon was doubtful about this diagnosis. He was not very sure about the X-ray. So he advised the MRI scan to be done. Okay. So in that MRI scan, surprisingly, there was a near total tear of supraspinatus muscle at its muscular tendinous portion, partial tear of subscapular tendon, and partial tear of, there is a lot of tears you can see. You can read on your own. See, there was a tear of muscles. There was a cut of muscles. Okay. So after MRI, doctor advised for surgery. So patient came back to me. I referred him to the senior orthopedic doctor. So doctor advised him for rest and exercise for almost 1 month. And what could have happened next? What are the medicines which you can think of? Tear of muscles. Yeah, there is no history of injury actually. Ruta, yes. Ruta. Yes, any other things, any other thoughts? Yes, rhododendron. Yes, any, I will give you a clue. Yeah, calcarea fast, yes, bellis pernis, very good, bellis pernis. Yeah, muscles, bellis pernis is the almost specific. Arnica montana, Phytolacca, very good. So let's see what happened. Actually, I didn't give any medicine. So he was better with rest and little physiotherapy. He was very much better with the rest and a sling, as somebody has suggested, that mechanical aid was provided. A sling was given, and like this, the sling, and with sling and rest, he was better for almost 90%. So again, after 1 month, the MRI was redone, because we'll know about the position of the condition of the muscles only through the MRI. So you see, compared to the previous MRI done, supraspinatus ligament signal have been reduced, fluid around the tendon has reduced, supraspinatus tendon shows normal signals suggestive of healing process. See, if the radiologist is very sensitive, and if he is sensitive enough to appreciate the changes, because it's their duty, see, they can guide you through the prognosis. Yeah, why the pain was increased, physiotherapy was done. No, because of intensive physiotherapy, because they thought it's a frozen shoulder, they did very rigorous physiotherapy, and because of that also maybe the muscles got torn, because of the rupture of the muscles, cut in the muscles, the pain has increased. Okay, so we were happy that there's a showing improvement. So if you are open-minded, then it will also always pace you back. See, don't hesitate to refer a case to the fellow allopaths, especially the one who are very well versed with their system, like specialization, orthopedic surgeons, OBGs, and especially the two in treating your family members and colleagues, because we feel hurt that we couldn't able to treat them. So if we refer them to the allopathic doctors, you may feel inferior. So it's not like that. You can refer, and ultimately the patient has to get benefit. And to know the prognosis is not a crime, because allopaths also refer to other doctors. Okay. So let's move to the next case. So without taking any homeopathic medicine, this homeopath became all right with rest and little physiotherapy after some time. Okay. So let's go to the next case, the case of cough. Time is 5:20. Okay. So I had a known case of asthma. She was under my treatment for almost 3 years. She was responding well to Lyco 200, remain okay for 3 to 4 months. It was a constitutional, and asthmatic patients are our breadwinners, because they keep on coming to us, and regularly we get income. So I was treating her with Lyco, and she used to be all right with Lyco. And suddenly she came up with cough since 3 days. There's a rattling in the chest. Fever was there since 2 days. No dyspnea, no pain. So pain in the right side of she complained of pain in the right side of the chest. So she was 67 years old lady, and she was telling that she has a thirst for small quantity of cold water, severe weakness, sleep was increased, and in spite of cough, she used to sleep. Okay, and Lyco 200 was again repeated, because she used to feel better with Lyco, no? So why to change the medicine? I repeated Lyco 200. See, after 2 days, she came to me on 6th. Again, after 2 days, she came back. Her hepatitis decreased. Still complaining of pain in the chest, right side of the chest, fever persisting, no dyspnea, but cough persists with difficult expectoration, thirstless. So based on this, because of thinking that sepia was the remedy has suppressed her complaints, I gave her sepia 1 1 dose in the morning, and ask her to go for chest X-ray if there is no change in weakness, and if the chest pain is persisting in the evening. Yes, somebody has clearly written. You should rule out pneumonia. Yes, Sujini, very good, Sujini. Dr. Sujini, yes. And yeah, on X-ray, it was right, paracardiac pneumonitis. Okay. So again, it's an acute condition. Again, I took the acute totality, dull, chilly, thirst for small quantity of water, but at frequent intervals, still feel CP. What do you think of? Tongue coated white. Okay. So I've given you the acute totality. Yes, but bryonia, but the patient was chilly. So it can't be bryonia. Antiemtart, yes, could be antiemtart. Yes, could be antiemtart. Nuxmosheta, yeah, Nuxmosheta is sleep, the level of sleep will be very high. Okay. Yeah, Nuxomica, yeah, Nuxworm, yeah, but she was not, yeah, she was irritable. Yes, we can, but she had thirst. Yeah, Ars or Sticta, yes. Okay, we'll see, because of time constraint, I will go fast. Antiemtart 200 was given. Felt better in 2 hours, fever decreased, cough decreased, slept well in the night, no disturbance, appetite was slightly improved, fever decreased. So antiemtart was repeated for 1 week as she started complaining again, a slight cough and weakness. So what are the lessons learned from this case? Should be an unprejudiced observer. And even if you think that you know the patient for a very long time, you should consider acute totality separately and do the necessary investigations accordingly. Otherwise, you would have missed the pneumonia. She would have gone into complications, and you would have lost the patient. Okay. So next, we'll go to a case of head injury. Okay. In this case, I have prescribed. Don't think that PL has worked. No. In this case, we have remedy. So not like earlier case. She's a female, age of 46 years. So she's complaining of meningioma. It is diagnosed case of meningioma on homeopathic RX, not from me, but from other homeopathic doctor. He has been treating her since 1 year, and she was complaining of slight headache, a head injury. She had a history of head injury 1 year back, and she was complaining of pain in the neck. And she undergone CT, and she instantly got to know about the tumor. See, occipital parafalcine meningioma. Repeatedly, it has been mentioned. See, in 4-5, the first CT was done. Again, it was actually this was first done on 1-5, then on 4-5. Within 2 days, within 4 days, 2 scans have been done, and in between there are many more scans. Okay, there was almost 6 to 7 scans. I am not showing you, and in the repeatedly she has again in the October the scan was done. Again it was coming well defined hyperdense enhancing partly calcified extraaxial lesion along with possibly meningioma. Okay, again the same values, same size lesion measure 3 is coming. So see again in 2018 it was being treated by one of the famous homeopathy doctor, and he was taking the scan once in 2 months. So what could be the medicine? But patient was little better, but she was again complaining of pain in the neck. Tumor was same. What could be the medicine? Medicine given was sepia, based on her constitution. Let's not go into details. So here, what is important is, can we take up these type of cases? Can we cure? Even if we see now the recent scan, it again shows the same size and same size of the tumor. What do you infer from this report? Whether my medicine is causing improvement, because the improvement is stuck. So what are your observations by going through the scan? Yeah. Let me know what you feel, sir. Yeah, selected because she was yeah, prognosis is bad. Okay, one thing is prognosis is bad, but she was feeling better with sepia. She was very much better, except the report. Yeah, only problem is space occupying lesion. Yes. Yes. See, please, I want you to see the report. Mass lesion containing space occupying lesion. It shows calcifications. See, whenever you have the term calcification, even in if it is a calcified uterus, calcified brain tumor, it is a definite sign that the patient is not, the tumor is not going to grow anymore. Okay, I had a discussion with a neurosurgeon. He said, no, there is absolutely need not worry, and this tumor will not increase or it will not decrease because it has been under the process of calcification. So based on this, so I told her, I explained the patient the prognosis, it's a dead tissue. Calcification is dead tissue. So you do not worry about the further prognosis. And the patient is, since the surgeon told, if you want, you can operate. Otherwise, there is no need for operations also. The patient will be like this for lifelong. And if they don't have any symptoms, there is no need to worry. Yes, healed as calcification. But the same homeopath, the earlier homeopath has not realized this, and he made the patient undergo repeated scans. And yeah, and because of repeated scanning, even in homeopathy, we say because of CT and MRI done, there are chances of relapse of the tumor, because these radioionizing radiations. So there is a study like X-rays and PET scans. CT scans use ionizing radiations, so which can damage the patient's DNA, and it may cause cancer. So there are a lot of information over the net. You can please go through that. And Dr. Vijayakar sir also against these repeated MRI and CTs, because if the patient is improving, you need not worry much. Okay. If there is a calcification, please remember, you need not do further investigations. See, the patient had to undergo, she was telling that because of your medicine, because I told her that you need not go for CT scan. Every month she used to pay 7,000 for CT scan, and she used to live in a rented house. So after 1 year, she saved almost 1 lakh, and she said, I got a house for lease. Because of you, I could be able to lease a house. So these are things which are which will be very, very helpful if you know the nature of the disease. Okay. So let's go to the case of CA thyroid. It's a female aged 66 years. She has been diagnosed as CA thyroid. Swelling over thyroid gland since 1 month. Initially, there used to be pain on touching. Now there is no pain. Sore erections and no PQRS, because in many of the CA patients, in one-sided diseases, you hardly find symptoms. Husband has died 9 years back, was with mother since then, and the mother also died 10 months back. Both children are working in Bangalore, and she feels lonely, does read lot of spiritual books, does yogasana regularly. She's anxious, and there's a conflict. See, the younger son has married a girl from different caste, and now he's very demanding, quarreling about the property, and he was threatening to go to the court, and he was feeling bad about this. After this, the complaint started. See the report, nodule in the left thyroid nodule, and on FNAC it was showing papillary carcinoma. Okay. So what are the medicines which can think of? We'll go fast. Initially, Ignitia and Staffy are given, but no much difference in general and particulars. So based on mild, fastidious, anxious, hot and thyroid complaints, she has been given Ars Iode. So she felt better generally, as well as with the reports after that. See the reports. It's almost 3 years back. See the report. No, in 2015 is the last time when I. So the report came as nodular goiter, left lobe. See, even the FNAC report, nodular goiter. So only through, even legally also, if you have got reports, if it is tested and came out negative in the report, then only we can sure about the prognosis and we can claim cure. Otherwise, we cannot claim the cures. Okay. So let's go to the next case. It's a case of constipation, simple constipation, but it was obstinate constipation. In most of the age, you get obstinate constipation. The patient was 75 years old, and it's obstinate constipation since 1 year, and passes stools once in 5 days and 4-5 days. And many times he goes to nursing home and he'll be given enema. Only after enema that he passes motions. And he started complaining of increased urine frequency in the night since 2 years, especially in the night, 4 to 5 times in the night. And he has been a known case of hypertension, diabetes since 30 years on allopathic medicines. Perspiration was increased in the palms. BPH was considered chilly. It was chilly. So mind, he was a retired cooperative department as manager, conscientious, and he now also look after his farm, intelligent, but doesn't take risk. Though he has capacity, doesn't take risk. Basically timid, but he has a strong sense of responsibility, very anxious. Has been given ARSAB and other medicines without any relief. So, see the report, enlarged prostate with residual urine. Then I started thinking about in other aspects. Like, can we find a rubric in repertory where we have got prostate complaints with constipation? Like anybody with rubrics? Does our repertoire has any rubric which has constipation along with prostatic complaint? Okay. Any thoughts, any inputs? Yeah, silica. Yeah, more than silica, it's a rubric which I wanted. Yeah, it could be silica, Beretta carb. Yes, any rubrics you can think of specific to the prostatic complaints with constipation. Because all the prostate complaints in all the patients, you don't find obstinate constipation. If it is a constipation of 1 or 2 days duration, you need not consider. Okay, so let us go to the rubric. It's in complete repertoire. There's a rubric: constipation with prostatic complaints. See, constipation, prostate enlarged with. There are only 3 medicines: arnica, sabal ceruleta, and silica. Most of you write with medicine, but so if you make the patient undergo the proper investigations, you may get a hint to the rubric. So it will assist you in finding the rubric. So that's what I wanted to emphasize. So most of the times investigations will lead you to the proper rubrics. Okay. It's in the complete repertoire. So Silica 200 has been given 1 dose, and he was very much better. And till date, he doesn't have any problem. In between, say after 6 months or 1 year, once in 6 months, he comes up with the constipation. And if I give silica, he will become all right. Okay. So let's go to next case. The female aged 12 years, weakness, headache, and constipation since 4 months. Headache, aggravation, sun, noise, constipation, passes stools once in 3 days. Appetite good, aversion milk, sensitive, introvert, easily affected by others' comments. So directly, so since she's a girl and age 12 years, you cannot say that the patient will be having. You should consider prostate. So since because of her sex, prostate has been ruled out, and so I asked her to check her thyroid. Okay, thyroid was 87. Okay, see 12 years, thyroid came 87. So TSH was 60. Again repeated after again the patients were not patients' relatives were not very sure, parents were not sure about the report, so they checked it in another lab. It came more than 60. Okay, see in 10 days they checked in another lab, it came more than 60. So what could be the medicine? So I gave, based on the totality, I gave Netramur. See, after 6 months, report came 5.6. it is in 2015. And in again, so the patient was doing well all these years. Again in 2019, we checked, it came again normal, almost 5.75, and her growth, everything was normal. Now she is doing her masters. Now she is 20 years old. Okay, so because of this, and we can show the results. The parents were satisfied and they were happy that even after 8 years, they are still in touch with me. Okay. So let's go to next case. So with question and answer session, we can keep it in the end. Whatever doubts you have, please mark yourself, and I will try to answer it in the end, because I have to finish another 5 cases in another 10 minutes. So female, age 29 years, she is married, weakness and loss of weight in 3 months, and has been diagnosed as hyperthyroidism and was advised to take allopathic RX. Basically very active. She used to get anger at refills, and she is very routinist and systematic and wants work to be done according to a schedule. She was chilly. She was in need of icy cold water and cold food. Because of icy cold water and cold food, see her report. T4 is slightly enlarged, but TSH was very low. What are the medicine you can think of? So if you tell me very fastly, then we can. Yeah. Yeah, medorinum, phosphorus, very good. Iodine, phosphorus, very good. TARS. And another thing, in thyroid cases, you need not worry about the thermals. Please keep it in your mind, because it's an altered state. As disease process has changed the thermals, you need not worry about the thermals. Okay. Yeah, Naxomica. Yes. Because of anger, you are consider Naxomica. Okay, you can consider it. So I gave her, yes, you are right. I gave her phosphorus 1N. Nausea, after 17th, I had given the phosphorus, and after 2 months, still there was no much change. And on detailed case taking, she was very quarrelsome, routinist, and chilly. I am telling you only the highlights, because the idea is to give the concept of investigation, not the remedy or the approach. Okay, so she has been prescribed Calica because the susceptibility was very high. She had a lot of energy, so I gave her Calicar 1M. So after that, she was feeling better, no loss of weight, gave PLC. After 2 months, the report came as almost normal. Even T4 came down, TSH increased. So if you have these type of reports, and you will be very confident in your practice, and patient will also be with you for a very long time. Okay. So let's go to next case. It's a very funny thing. I got a call from a pharmacist saying that his brother is not responding. He has locked the toilet from inside and not came out since 4 hours. He is unconscious, and he said, looks as if he is dead. So please come and confirm. So can we take up this case, and can we do something? He said, confirm. So I thought, let's confirm. So I was expecting dilated pupils, dilated and fixed pupils, no pulse, no heartbeat. So since he was my pharmacist, I thought it's not good that I go empty hand. So he may need some money for his final arrangements. So I thought better to take some money. I asked my friend who was with me to give some money. So he said he will go to ATM and draw some money and will come back. So till then, I went to my nearest assistant's house and took the step so that I will be sure of the diagnosis. And I went to the place. So after reaching the place, the door was broken, and he has been taken out, and he was lying with his head on the lap of his mother. So his brother was around 28 years old, and there is a history of, say, but surprisingly he was breathing, and there was smell of alcohol. And I was confused because his relatives also, they were roaming around, and I was wondering who have taken alcohol, his relatives. And then when I inquired, his relative has been drunk, and I was confused whether his relatives has taken alcohol, whether the patient has taken. And I went near his mouth and I took the breath, and I was a little surprised. He was smelling alcohol. And when I took the history, they said he has not eaten anything since last morning, and it was around 7 o'clock in the evening. And he went to toilet at 2 o'clock, and he was unconscious, but he was breathing. Yes, carbohydrate. Yes, somebody has typed carbohydrate. Yes, you can think of carbohydrate. So, so he was not responding to my questions. Yeah, Naxomika because of alcohol. Yes, somebody has written hypoglycemia, carbohydrate or opium. Very good. Hypoglycemia has to be considered as one of the probable differential diagnosis of coma patient. So what I did was, from the nearby clinic, I asked my pharmacist to bring glucometer because he was my friend, and I asked him to get glucometer just to be sure about the blood glucose level. Then I put a handful of sugar into his mouth, and surprisingly, after 2 minutes, he started opening his eyes. Please note that I have not given any homeopathic medicine. So I didn't have any medicine. So after 2 minutes, he started opening his eyes. And till the time, the glucometer also came, and it was showing 40 mg. See, after a lot of glucose, it was showing 40 mg. It would have been still less when I approached him. So we started giving sugar water as he regained his consciousness. So in 10 minutes, he was up and started answering to my questions. So what are the lessons learned? Knowledge of differential diagnosis of the disease through biochemistry is essential to treat acute emergencies. See, since I was working in nursing homes, and in nursing home, it's a routine thing. If you working as a duty doctor in the night, and night doctor, if you are in charge, it's a common thing that patient who are been on anti-glycemic, hypoglycemic drugs or insulin, it's a frequent thing which you come across in nursing homes. So knowledge of disease is very important, and so luckily he was saved. If you would have gone to nursing homes, they would have made minimum 10,000 they would have charged. So we saved 10,000. Okay. So let's go to next case. The case of male aged 59 years. It's a known case of CRF under my treatment since 2 years. Now complaints of severe weakness and giddiness since morning. Conscientious, active, does not want to trouble others. Sleep was good. He stopped antihypertensive medicine recently because of low BP, chilly. So yeah, the history was like this. He felt bad about the comment of the owner where he was working, and he left the job. See the serum creatinine is 7.9. Blood urea was 122. It is in 2016. Please note the date. So in 2017 May, after 5 months, it came out 2.6. Okay, and urea was 63. It came to from 122 to it came 63 in 5 months. In between report, I have not put. In 2018, it came to in 1 year 2.2, and the urea was 42. So again in April it is 32 and 2.3. So medicine was Ignitia, and Ignitia has been given and in 1 m repeated continuously for 3 months. And also it has been given in water doses according to the need. This is in 2019, 2.1. See, this is yesterday's report. Luckily for my luck, he said he has tested his report and creatinine is almost normal and patient is asymptomatic. Okay. So these are the kinds of it's a long follow. If you keep the reports like this, then you are very sure of the prognosis of the patient. Okay. So renal failures, the cases where the patient has renal failure because of the increased urea creatinine, those cases also you can handle, provided if you know the pathology well, and it will not come to normal overnight. You have to keep on checking. Okay. So let's go to next case. She's a female, aged 52 years, married, pain in left leg since 4 months, pain mainly in lateral and posterior part of the leg, cramping type of pain, and the pain was increased and hanging legs down while sitting. She used to feel better by keeping leg on chair to the level of hip. Okay, small. She was complaining of small tumor in the left breast since 1 year. Continuous pain in the leg with numbness. Doppler shows atherosclerotic disease of the artery of the lower limb. ESR was 34. Grade X-ray showed grade 1 spondylolisthesis of L5 and S4. So early lumbar spondylosis and sleeplessness due to pain and dreams, of attacking chili. And in mental, there's a very good history taken, and the history was like this. She has tension because of loss of money. She was an agent to a finance company, and she has borrowed money from many people. But the company cheated her, and now the people are behind her for money. She was feeling very bad because basically she was a very good lady, very morally high moral she had. Pain, and the pain started after this, and after the investors started threatening her, thus they will go to police station, court, etc. And she does not avoid situations. She used to attend the phones. Okay, what could be the medicine? She has been given Ignitia, Naja, Chamamula, Lacasis, many medicines in the last 3 months. But it was giving only a partial relief, and it was not being relieved significantly. So next, what to do? So she was been asking me that whether we should go for next test. I was telling no need. It has been clear. No, that is atherosclerotic changes in the leg. So I was not suggesting her to go for sale. But ultimately, because of pressure, I asked her to go for CT brain and spinal cord done, and see the report. There is a generalized osteopenia of bones, multiple focal lesions in all the vertebra, sacrum and bilateral iliac bones, and expansion of sacral body, involvement of multiple pedicles, and compression of fractures of D2, L5, and S1 vertebra, and features suggestive of secondaries in the brain. Okay, and see, noted in the MRI, has been observed that posterior element in multiple bilateral ribs and bilateral bones, well-defined soft tissue lesion measuring 1.1 into 1.7 centimeter noted in left breast in 12 o'clock position. Okay, and with few microcalcification within. So the final thing was features are suggestive of left breast neoplasm with lymph node and involvement with metastasis, severe metastasis to the bones. See the prognosis, how disease has spread. So the lessons learned is my failure case, but still I am sharing with you so that you should not do these sort of mistakes. Okay. So the lesson learned was if there is no change in 10 to 20 days, maximum 30 days of your carefully selected medicine, please do the next level of investigation. Because the patients will be willing to spend the money, but in the name, in the pretext of saving money to them, we'll be avoiding the investigation. So please be open-minded and she was a relative of one of my assistant doctors, and because of this they have stopped talking to my assistant because they thought that we have misdiagnosed the whole case. And see, these are the lessons which we should learn from the failures. So after your carefully selected medicine, if there is no change, please go to the next level of investigation. And I will tell you, it will save a lot of time and pain for you and also for your patient. Let's go to next case. Male age 57 years, loss of appetite, weakness, urine yellowish, restless sleep, occasionally fever with chills, thirst for juicy things, loss of appetite in the past. So he has been advised to go for blood test because there is an icterus and there is a yellowishness of the urine. I asked him to go for uh, blood test, and the bilirubin was very high, 22, and so all the blood values were normal, other values are normal. So because of the high bilirubin level and because of high alkaline phosphate level. See, please bear in your mind that whenever there is an increase in alkaline phosphate, it shows that there is an obstruction. It could be due to stones, or it could be due to anything, any tumor, anything. Okay, usually it will be gallbladder stones. So I asked him to go for ultrasound, and in ultrasound there is a report that say cholelithiasis, moderate dilation of this thing. But he advised, he is known to me, that radiologist, uh, he advised me that I doubt there is a small tumor like in the biliary and you better do a CT. So we did CT. See, the CT report came as small hypotension mass lesion in terminal CBD with dilatation of biliary. This is just 3-4 days back. It has been done. See, 9th blood test was done, 10th scanning was done, and 11th CT was done. And he suspected some neoplastic region in the biliary, but he couldn't make out. He said ERCP and MRCP would be better. So I knew a surgeon, so he did an MRCP. So see the discharge summary with yellowish discoloration, and so finally the diagnosis was extrapulmonary obstruction, and even the biopsy was made, and it has been diagnosed as cholangiocarcinoma. That's a tumor of the malignant tumor of the biliary. And they did stenting, and still he is on homeopathic medicine. We don't know about the prognosis, how he will progress, but still, so the patient was very much, he was showing gratitude to me that because of you, and there was no metastasis. In earlier case, as I explained, there was a full metastasis because of our negligence. But in this case, there was no metastasis, and he said you have diagnosed it very early, and there is high chances even after surgery that patient will survive and will lead a full life. Okay, even we are planning that after maybe after surgery we will give homeopathic medicines. Okay, so in 3 days it has been diagnosed. So we'll go to last almost another 2 cases are there. will just fastly share with you, and then we'll be open for question and answer session. So a case of mouth ulcer, female aged 65 years, and this ulcer is there since 6 months, and all the investigation was done and within normal, and she took vitamin B12 injections also, but still there is no relief. I treated her for 1 month. Since she was staying in Bangalore, she couldn't come to the follow-up properly. See the tumor, see the ulcer. I repeatedly asked her whether the FNSV has been done or not. She repeatedly told that everything has been done and there is no malignancy. It has been clear. And see, after 2 months, they came back with a report, squamous cell carcinoma, left lateral border of tongue. So the doctor, she asked my suggestion, which is best, radiation or chemo, because she has lost confidence in me, because I have been treating her with 1 month, and I didn't suggest her to go for test, because when I asked them, they said it's normal. So what a lesson which is learned from this case is, do not believe patients about their version of reports. Always see it yourself, and if there is no reports, treat it as the investigation has not been done, and repeat the related test. Don't hesitate. So this is lesson which I learned from this case. I think this is the last case. One of my patient had renal calculi, it's a 14 mm right ureter, and it passed out after like a 1M. And as today was my seminar, I called him to ask for the report. He said he has torn the report and threw it out. Because according to him, if he keeps that report, he thinks that he may get the renal calculi again. This is a wrong notion. He said it's a bad omen, so I should not keep any of my past reports. So this was a very fantastic case, but I don't have reports to show you. I don't have any proof. I have video, but I don't have a report to show. Okay, so this is the sad part of the thing which we come across in our clinic. So the lesson learned was, please keep the record carefully, and once the patient has been cured, they will not pay attention to the report preservation. Okay, so I think this is the last case. Is a male, aged 76 years of age, weakness, frequent desires to pass urine, and many more complaints from head to toe. You'll come to the clinic with a lot of complaints. I think you will also get these type of patients neatly written on a paper. He recently started complaining of small swelling all over the body since 1 year back. And I reassured him that it's a lipoma and there is no need to worry. But after 6 months, the tumor in the thigh started growing and he underwent biopsy. See the biopsy report. It was considered stage 1E lymphoma. It's a very malignant tumor of the thigh. It is been diagnosed lymphoma. See, round cell tumor lymphoma, even in the histopathology. So, though the patient may look to you like hypochondriac, but on slightest doubt, please ask them, though they come regularly, though they eat your head, don't hesitate to send them for the report. Okay, especially in hypochondriac patient, it's a must that infrequently you should ask them to go for report, because hypochondriasis comes under syphilitic condition. There are high chances that they develop a severe malignant condition, because I've seen a lady who was hypochondriac who was coming to me repeatedly with repeated throat pain, fevers, etc. So when after some time she developed a blood cancer, that is blood cancer, and she died with it. So please be very careful, and if you interfere the hypochondriac patient in the early stages, you can definitely cure them. And if they complain of any serious problem, please do make some investigations. So I think this is the last case. Is male aged 70 years, fever, leukocytosis, anemia. So, what is your diagnosis? Now we'll open straight away. Go to the question and answer session. This is my question. Let me know your answer. Yeah, your views. What could be? Yes, leukemia. Very good. Any other inputs? Chronic myeloid leukemia, acute, chronic. It could be acute because hemoglobin was less. Yes, malignancy. Yes, because yeah, leukemia. Yeah, many of you are of the opinion of leukemia. Yeah, malignancy. Yes. Diagnosis, treatment. Yes. Can we take up this case? Okay. I told, as you all suggested, I told their relatives that this is an emergency because it was in my initial days of practice. I was not very confident about treating up CA patients. Nowadays, I've been doing a lot of research in cancer patients, and I'm quite successful in many of the patients. But in my initial days of practice, I was not so confident. I told them it's an emergency, and I have diagnosed the patient and show him to the oncologist, but they didn't turn up. After 6 months, I met the patient and asked him how he's feeling as the chemo started, whether any side effects of the chemo is undergoing or anything like that. But he was looking almost normal. So, but the patient said, I had 3-4 injection of vitamin B12, and after that I'm fine. See, if you have macroscopic hypochromic anemia because of vitamin B12 deficiency, the patients may present with these type of symptoms. Because of infection, because of low hemoglobin and little jaundice, he has developed infection. And because of infection, because of low hemoglobin, he had developed leukocytosis. And the doctor, he made him undergo vitamin B12 deficiency, and because of low B12 deficiency, he was having low HB because of lack of appetite, everything. And within 3-4 injection, he said he became all right. And he said, sir, I thank you for referring because I immediately became all right. I was frightened, but because of your suggestion, I became all right. I don't know whether to be happy or to be sad. Okay, so these are things which we face in our initial days of practice. Okay, so what is the lesson learned? We should check other possibilities before coming to the conclusion. Okay. So lastly, because the fever, nowadays we are getting a lot of fever. It's a very recent origin. Fever is 10 days, and he has taken 2 courses of antibiotics, extreme weakness, dyspnea on slightest movement, desires thirst for cold water, desires fan from distance, cold sweat on the face, desires juices, sore things. He was anxious. So because of COVID, he was afraid that if he has been tested positive for COVID because of dyspnea and everything, can you take up these type of cases? I have given yes, Viratram. See, first initially I had given him acid fast, no change even after 24 hours. So I called up my friend Dr. Vijay Krishna, and he told me about Vijay's COVID protocol. Somehow I had mixed it and had sent it. So when I go through it, because of desire for sore things, desire span, it was matching exactly the symptoms of Veratromol 150. So the first time I used Veratromol 50mg, especially in acute. Usually I have used maximum 10 mg. But in this case, as per Dr. Vijayakar advice, I used from 50 m 3 hourly repeatedly for 1 day, and after he became all right in 1 day. But to be on the safer side, so because now it's a mandatory for us to report every case of suspected interstitial lung disease to DHO office in a software. So I asked him to go for COVID test. So luckily it came negative, and patient is also all right. So see, if you are very confident of the diagnosis, and even if you know the medicines which are indicated to that diagnosis, maybe differential diagnosis has to be done. In this case, luckily, I got result with Veretramal of 50 m. But according to Dr. Vijayakar sir, every case which has dyspnea, will most of the cases they have desire for sore things, severe weakness, cold sweat on the head, and they need desires for fan from the distance. If it is from the near ones, you can think of Carboage. So he was totally cured, and I think now we have a confidence that even the dyspnea patients with fever we can handle. So negative, and its RT-PCR test, it came negative because only if it comes positive they will inform you. Otherwise, they will not inform you. Okay, they have taken the sample, and it came RT-PCR also came negative. We should get updated ourselves to the latest investigations. Then only patients will believe you. Okay. So there are some clinical tips you can just, because of it's already 10 minutes of exercise I have taken. So you just take a snapshot shot of this, and I can also send you in, I can share you in WhatsApp group these tips. It has to be kept in mind. When scanning has to be done, when in the abdomen pain, chest X-ray, diabetes, hypertension, pain abdomen. Please, if you make these type of notes, no, it will be really helpful in your busy schedule, so that you will not miss anything. Otherwise, if you miss something, no, you will feel bad. And so these are the tips. If a person gains weight, you should get for thyroid function, weight loss, diabetes, cancer, gastric ulcer, weakness, chronic CBC, and simple blood tests, complete blood count will give you more, many times, many ideas about the condition of the patient. And liver function test, yes. And in menstrual irregularities, you should suggest abdomen CT. And if you suspect soft tissue involvement, you should tell them that they should go with contrast, and they should, because of this, they should go with empty stomach, and their renal parameters should be normal within 1.2 creatinine. Otherwise, they will not go for. And in married person, married women, don't suggest any transvaginal scan. Only in unmarried persons. Only in the married, after the conception only, we should suggest transvaginal scan. Okay, in vomiting and in increase, if there is an increased frequency of urination, you should always check for diabetes. So these are the tips which I will be sharing with you. So the first thing which I shared with you, the main objective for our today's seminar was to know how investigations help us in collection of a simillimum, how it helps in follow-up, repetition, rubric selection, potency selection, miasm, and to know the prognosis, scope and limitation of the case. And in a nutshell, we have seen that how investigations will help us in determining the miasm of the patient, remedy, potency selection, repetition, change of medicine. So with many incidences and case reports, I have tried my best to show you the concepts, explain you the concept. So please feel free to ask questions. And why investigations are important? Legally, recommending investigations and keeping records is safe, because we'll never know, and we'll be sure about patient's feeling as well as patient tells that he's feeling better. But to be sure that he's really getting better, we need investigations, we need reports. And if you come across the reports, if you research through the report, you can see the patterns. Like in most of the diabetes or freshly diabetes, anxious patients, ASF is indicated. So these type of researches you can do with the reports. And reports, of course, will enhance confidence in patients and as relatives. So by this, even the physician confidence will also increase, and it helps to reduce allopathic as well as homeopathic medicine. Without report, you cannot reduce the allopathic tablets. Once you are sure about the decrease in the values, then only we can report. I already told you, it helps in doing clinical research. And ultimately, by all this, it will enhance respect towards our system. People start respecting you, and through you, they will start respecting you, the system. So you can add more and more to this list. It's not the end. So it is just the beginning that given the idea. So thank you. Thank you for the, in this occasion, I like to remember my colleagues in Advanced Mysore Learners Group of Mysore. So these are my colleagues who help me in day out to treat cases, discuss cases. And my suggestion is, please form a close group with your colleagues so that you can discuss the cases and learn from your mistakes. Okay, they can also learn from your mistakes, and you can also learn from their mistakes. So in this occasion, I like to also thank Avinash, who has who has recommended me to this webinar, and my friend Dr. Vijaykrishna, Sujini, Raina, and Devraj, who always encourage me in doing these sort of presentations, who encourages me to do such seminars. Thank you, and please visit our. It's a non-commercial thing. It's a fully academic. If you are very much interested in academics and to learn continuously, please subscribe to our channel and website, and you will get a lot of these sort of informations. And please let me know your feedback. Maybe today I'm a bit fast because of constraint in the time. So please, if you have any queries, even after this seminar, you can message me, and also please give me some feedback so that I can improve myself in future presentations. Okay, thank you one and all, and I also thank Manish and the Moorbidre College of Alvas College of Homeopathic Medicine for giving me an opportunity to share my experience and some of the tips with you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patience listening. Yes, Manish, I'm done.
Yes, sir. Can we take some questions, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sir. So the participants, if having any questions, they can put their questions in the chat box.
Yeah, case number 11, somebody has asked, when you referred them thyroid function test, what was your case number 11? Yes, case number 11. Yeah. See, obstinate constipation in especially in children, and there's a severe weakness, headache, and repeated thing. And if you find any constipation in, especially in ladies, or in weakness in early childhood, and especially 12 years of old, better to go for thyroid function test. Okay, in most of the time it will be thyroid function test will be normal. The patients will be thin. Don't think that all the thyroid patient will be obese. In early stages, you hardly find an obese patient. So most of them will be thin. So please advise them a thyroid function test. Okay, any other 16, 17 remedy, please. Okay, yes, 16. Yeah, 16 male complaints for loss of it. No, I'm still yet to prescribe because he has been put stent and not yet started treating him. I just wanted you wanted you to know the approach of how I approach in the individual cases. This is complicated cases. So this just want to based on the symptoms we can give acid fast, but still I'm considering whether to treat this or not. So I have not given any medicine. 16 and 17. Yeah, 17 also I have not treated. They went for chemo and radiation. Okay. Any other? Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, lab tests. Yeah, these tests, it helped me to know the prognosis of the cases. In number one, first case, the diabetic case where I done arsenic sulfur flame, it helped me to know the prognosis of the case. It has not helped me to for the remedy selection. Okay. In most of the time, it is the prognosis which is useful in knowing the report. Yes, in silica cases, it has helped me in selection of the rubric and selection of the medicine, where the person has got constipation with prostatic complaints. Okay. Any other? Yeah, link. Yeah, link is present. Yeah, it's a lymphoma. It's a lymphoma. Number 15 case is it has been diagnosed as lymphoma and need to radiation, not my medicine. Without PCOD, treatment delayed menses without PCOD and hormonal imbalance. What will be the treatment? Constitution. Yes, constitution and lifestyle adjustment. Yeah, it helps. Our constitutional medicine will help, especially if you should consider that the MASM syphilitic rubrics, if you consider and prescribe, then it will help. Yes, and I think time is up.
Yes, I think
Yes,
no
Manish.
questions are there, sir.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, if they are.
Sir, if any further questions are there, they can mail you, sir. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure. I have given my mail ID.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, if you permit now, sir, can we conclude the session?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Manish. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Feba, you can proceed for vote of thanks. Over to you, Feba.
Good evening, attendees. On behalf of Always Homeopathic Medical College, I would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Manohar for accepting our invitation and taking time out of his very busy schedule to impart us with his profound knowledge and clinical experiences to us through this webinar. So you have clearly emphasized to us the importance of investigations in case taking. Thank you, sir, for a wonderful, enlightening session. I also take this opportunity to thank our management and staff of Alwas Homeopathic Medical College for providing us with this platform to learn. I also thank our sponsors, Advent Biotech, for their wholehearted support and cooperation. Last but not the least, a huge thanks to all our attendees for making this webinar a grand success. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.